Have you ever caught how, in movies, inside airplane cockpits, or during military briefings, nobody says things like, "Okay, got it," or even, "I understand"? Instead, you hear a single sharp response, "Roger." Sometimes it becomes "Roger that." It sounds clean, confident, almost cinematic. But it also feels oddly specific. Why that word? Why Roger? Who exactly is Roger, and why does his name get spoken every time someone confirms a message? If you've ever wondered why pilots, soldiers, naval officers, and even astronauts rely on this word instead of something simpler like copy or understood, you're about to uncover a hidden layer of history tucked inside everyday communication. And believe me, this story goes far beyond cool radio chatter. To really understand where Roger comes from, we need to rewind to the earliest days of radio. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, wireless communication was still rough and unpredictable. Signals faded in and out. Static filled the air. Voices warped, cracked, or disappeared entirely. Back then, saying something long like, "I understand your message clearly," was a gamble. In a noisy transmission, half of that sentence could be swallowed by interference. What people needed was something short, strong, and unmistakable, something that could survive the chaos of early radio waves. So radio operators needed a response that was fast, precise, and impossible to miss. One clean syllable did the job perfectly. That's where the letter R stepped in. In Morse code and early telegraph systems, R was used as shorthand for received. It was the simplest way to say, "Message received," without wasting time or risking confusion. But this is where the story takes a turn. As communication shifted from tapping signals to speaking over radios, a new problem appeared. Saying just the letter R out loud wasn't reliable. Through crackling speakers and heavy static, R could easily be mistaken for A, O, or I. In critical moments, that kind of confusion was unacceptable. To solve this, communicators developed phonetic alphabets, systems where every letter was assigned a clear, distinct word that couldn't be easily misheard. Each word was chosen to cut through noise and distortion. And before the modern phonetic alphabet we know today, the military and aviation world used earlier versions. Back then, the word assigned to the letter R wasn't Romeo. It was Roger. So when someone said Roger, they weren't referring to a person at all. They were literally saying the letter R. And R meant received. Message heard. Signal confirmed. End of story. No hidden character. No secret name. Just smart, efficient communication designed to survive the chaos of early radio. During World War II, the use of Roger spread like wildfire. Military communication had to be brutally efficient. Seconds could decide outcomes. In the middle of combat, pilots didn't have the luxury of saying, "Yes, I fully understand your last transmission." There was no time for that. One word did everything it needed to do, Roger. Short. Clear. Finished. It quickly became standard language across air forces, naval fleets, and ground units. Before long, Roger became more than a simple acknowledgement. It turned into a marker of professionalism. Saying it signaled that you were trained, disciplined, and operating by the book. It meant you knew the rules of radio communication and followed them precisely. And because Allied forces relied on it so heavily throughout the war, the word didn't fade away once the fighting stopped. It stayed. Years later, the phonetic alphabet itself evolved into the system we recognize today, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization phonetic alphabet, with Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and so on. In this new system, the letter R officially became Romeo. But by then, it was already too late to erase Roger. The word had sunk deep into habit and culture. Pilots kept saying it. Radio operators stuck with it. Soldiers passed it down to the next generation. What started as a technical solution had become tradition, and practical traditions, especially ones that work, have a way of surviving no matter how much the rules change. At this point, you might be thinking, why not just say copy form understood? The difference is subtle, but it matters. Roger has a very specific meaning: I received your message. Nothing more. It doesn't automatically mean agreement, approval, or action. It simply confirms that the signal arrived. Copy, on the other hand, comes from the idea of copying something down, writing it or recording it for reference. And understood goes even further, suggesting not only that the message was heard, but that it was fully processed and comprehended. In environments like aviation or combat, those distinctions aren't just linguistic, they are critical. Precision can save lives. A single misunderstood word can trigger confusion, delays, or even catastrophe. That's why these short, standardized responses exist, each carrying a precise meaning. Then there's Roger that. From a technical standpoint, it's redundant, almost like saying, received that, received. But language doesn't evolve by strict logic. It evolves through use. People added that for emphasis, clarity, and confidence. It sounds firmer, more complete, more human. Movies and television pushed it even further. Once Hollywood embraced the phrase, Roger that became a shortcut for competence and control. Suddenly, it wasn't just pilots and soldiers saying it. Cops, firefighters, astronauts, and even pizza delivery drivers in sitcoms started using it. The phrase jumped from rigid technical jargon into pop culture cool, proving how easily professional language can spill into everyday life when it sounds this good. There's a psychological side to it too. Roger sounds solid and decisive. It cuts straight through uncertainty. Compare that to okay, which can feel casual, vague, or even hesitant. In high-pressure environments, tone carries weight. A sharp Roger feels dependable. It reassures the sender that the message didn't vanish into silence. It quietly says, I'm here. I heard you. We're aligned. That small sense of certainty can make a real difference when teams are working under pressure. What's truly fascinating is the journey this single word has taken. It moved from Morse code to wartime radios, from there into aircraft cockpits, then onto movie screens, and eventually into everyday speech. Today, people casually say Roger that at work or in text messages, often as a joke, without realizing they're repeating a habit that's more than 100 years old. It's like a linguistic fossil, a surviving fragment from the earliest days of wireless communication that somehow refused to fade away. A simple word, born out of static and necessity, that kept evolving while carrying its history along with it. So the next time you hear a pilot say Roger, or a friend drops it sarcastically into a conversation, you'll know there's no mysterious person named Roger behind it. What you're hearing is the echo of the letter R, still carrying the meaning received. A meaning passed down through decades of necessity, conflict, innovation, and routine. It's a small word shaped by static and survival, one that somehow ended up sounding cooler than anyone ever planned. And that's part of the quiet magic of language. Sometimes, the shortest words hold the longest histories. Thank you for watching. If you have ideas or suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. And thank you for joining us on this journey through ordinary. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories hidden inside the smallest details of everyday life.